Hi, you guys. My name is Falicia SamKing, and you're on my page, Faith Talks Mental Health of the African Diaspora. I have my special guests. I would like you guys to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Famata.
Hi, I'm Paris Gold.
Hi, I'm Joy.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie.
Hey guys, my name is Shay, or Shay. Let me get it right for the Africans.
All right, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about sexual abuse in the African community that has to deal with women. And what sexual abuse is it's a person that does sexual behaviors towards another person without their consent, meaning that could include force and taking advantage of that person. So the first question is, how does society treat women in African countries when it comes to sexual abuse?
Well, I guess like I'm not as a woman. I guess my perspective is a little, one-sided. But from what I've seen, it's very negative. In the African diaspora in general, it seems that there's more a belief of like believing the attackers than there is of believing the accusers. In general, is what I've seen in almost every country, which is really sad.
Okay, I know that most of my panel is from Sierra Leone. Any of you guys seen and experienced or seen how women are being treated in Sierra Leone?
Oh yes, they will accuse you instead of them taking your side. They would say it was your fault because you kind of seduced the guy. Or let's say if you're 15 or 14, they will say because you probably put on something too short or you were trying to seduce the person, that's why you were raped, instead of them hearing what you had to say. You know what I'm saying?
Anyone else?
Personally, I feel like, I think that anyways, that they don't really take into account the action of it. They just take into account about the complaints, because the action of it all is really like, how did this lead to this? What happened that led these two, whoever is right, whoever is wrong in the situation, right? I don't even want to know, but it's like, how did this happen? And the fact that it happened, what are you going to do about it now? I feel like the lack of, it's a very nonchalant topic in Africa, especially in Sierra Leone. It's very much swept under the rug. It's very much, ebo, nadande you want. If you not be no dande, why you go do this? Very much of that, but not really, how can we help? Like, what is the next step? So I feel like, it's really a topic that is swept under the rug.
So the person that brought up this topic is Anne-Marie. She contacted me on Instagram and she was like, you know what? Why can't we just talk about, sexual abuse in the African community and how does that affect women mentally, and like just talk about that topic. So I really want her to really like engage into this conversation and ask questions as well.
For me, there is no need for questions because I already have the answers, or I already have the questions already. Because basically, I grew up back home half of my life, and I've seen not only my cousins but my friends, some of my friends that they went through that. Like right now, they are like mentally, it's not like the crazy or bad or something's wrong with them, but they're afraid. Like they have this thinking like something like that's gonna happen to them if they go back home. So let's say if they go back home, they see this uncle or they see this person, that memory will just come back to them. So that thing have happened to me, and I have a girl, and I don't want that to happen to her when she grew up. I don't want something like that to happen to her. What happened to my cousins or something like that. So it's best for somebody to, or us, like what we started to do is best, or it's better for us to do that and try to let the whole world, by God's grace, know what's going on. Like sexual abuse is part of mental issue, because that's what it is. survey. Because if you go to something like that, and you're gonna have that memory like for life with you, and it's gonna be hard. No matter what they do, it's that memory is gonna be with you because nobody know what happened to you, unless somebody that have been on the shoes. That's the only person that's gonna understand what you're going through or what you've been through.
Right.
So that's like, it's kind of sad. I don't want what happened in the past. I don't want that stuff. Although it's repeating itself over and over all the time, but I don't want that to happen. I want that to stop. Like, it's bad. It's
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's understandable. How you were talking about sometimes like your friend or somebody's afraid to go back, and I think that's also part of like the mental issues that come up, which is like PTSD, and like it literally can change your life and perspective on how you live your life, and it ruins you as a person. Like it creates low self-esteem, and even though you are the one, you didn't ask for it, in your mind you blame yourself in certain ways, especially, and it makes it worse if like the police don't believe you, your family doesn't believe you, they just sweep it under the rug and say just deal with it. That's just in itself is horrible, and it's just going to continue destroying your life. And unfortunately there's not really like a lot of counseling, in Sierra Leone. In America, we're very fortunate to be able to go to like a therapist, to help us get over it and move on or learn how to live with it better. Because I feel like something like that you can't really get over it or like just make it disappear. The best thing to do is just to go to a therapist. But PTSD is definitely a big part of it that is just too much.
That's true. I watched this YouTube video and they were talking about, it was these three ladies. I think they have their own facilities in Sierra Leone. And they were basically talking about how there are a lot of rape cases in Sierra Leone and what they're doing about it. They're activists. And there's one thing that I've noticed watching that video, that they're doing everything right as they can when it comes to, trying to help the women that were sexually abused with feminine care and, trying to help them, because most of them are lawyers, just trying to help them beat the case in the justice system, because most of the people in the justice system are men. But the one thing that I realized, that even though they are doing those facilities for those women, they don't have mental health facilities so women can actually go to a therapist and get through their PTSD, try to find healthier coping skills to get through the day, try not to have flashbacks and stuff like that. So I'm like, whoa, like, yeah, we could talk about this topic, but you're not looking at the whole picture of that person. You're basically exposing the person when it comes to them being, raped, but not actually helping the person mentally.
Right.
What you bring up is a really good point, because just in general, a big part of getting over PTSD, because in general, if you are sexually assaulted, like, you are going to suffer from some form of PTSD. Like, I'm a psychology major, so I've learned a lot about that kind of stuff. Like, it's true. And a big part of overcoming those things is getting acceptance from your community and the people that you consider your support group. So if you don't have that, I mean, it is a big part of it. Don't get me wrong. Acceptance of what happened and acknowledgement. So seeing consequences for your attacker, of course, are going to be a big part of it. But beyond that, there are years and years of like therapy that you're going to need, and just acknowledgement, just being able to be comfortable with even just men again. For some people, it's a lot of things. So acknowledgement is a major part of it. I do like applaud those women for doing that, because that is major, especially in Africa. But it is just a small part of the total solution that these women would need.
And I'd like to add on to what Shay said, from the psychological standpoint as well. As someone that has experienced trauma before in the past, I always like to call trauma, it's like a wound that you can't see, that it's in your mind, that only you see that wound and feel that wound every day. And now you're the only one that's going to find some type of medication for that wound. It doesn't matter how many counseling sessions you go to. It does not matter how many able, osho, sorry, sister, It does not matter how many how much the external world validates what you went through. Unless you heal from that completely, you will not be able to rest. You will not be able to sleep. You will not be, you didn't even sleep, you didn't myself. Because that's how your subconscious works. Your mind is a camera. It's constantly picking up things. And so it picking up something so, you know, huge for you, and people are just expecting it like, oh, it's nothing. And so this is something that you have to find a way to cope on. And so really taking to the people like your mental health and really reducing those stress levels to be like, look, sis, you have support. You know, you have somewhere that you can talk to. You have a community of people that you can reach out to. Sometimes it even takes a lot to get over the anxiety of even speaking about what happened to you.
Because it's so shameful. So shameful for you to speak about it.
You know?
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be shameful at all. I mean, sorry, as from a man's perspective, it's like, you know, but it's a shame.
That's you, though. A lot of guys don't think like you. They want to sit on an office about 50, 60 years or 70 years. You know, they don't do or whatever the case may be, and they don't look at how it affects others or how it affects the younger generation, how it affects women in general. Even a lot of the times, it's a lot of sexistness that's going on because it's like you cater for everybody else, but you forget about the woman.
It's shameful.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
What her name again? I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Anne-Marie?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, what you were saying is true. When you mentioned it was so shameful, and what I'm gonna say is just brutally honest. In the African community, this is the reason why most of us women are ashamed to talk about what is going on when it comes to sexual abuse. It's because we within ourselves, we don't even want to hear it. Like, let's say I have a sexual abuse from somebody. If I tell my friend, they would just tell a lot of people about it. That makes me feel that I'm belittling. Like, that makes me just don't want to talk about anything. Sometimes even within ourselves as women, we don't even want to hear it. We just think that if it happens to us, it's our fault that it happens to us, just because it hasn't happened to you. So we are hypocrites. I'm sorry, especially in the Syrian community. Most of us are just like, we don't listen to anybody, even the women, because if women can come together in that community and help each other, I don't think it would have been happening up till now. But even the women, let's say our mothers too, like let's say I'm raped by my uncle, the mom don't want to talk about it because the mom don't want the friend to hear it. And the mom thinks that if the friend hear it, that means my value has been reduced to nothing. And that is what we face. And I understand her when she just mentioned the word. It's really shameful because, like, you can't even tell anybody. You just have to live with it for the rest of your life. Even if you say it in America, let's not act as if America has a lot of help for that. Even America is even suffering. Like, they don't have a lot of help when it comes to Black people. They have a lot of help when it comes to white people. There's a lot of energy. But when it comes to Black people, it's like,
sweep it under the rug.
That is very true.
And that's very true. I also said in my other videos on YouTube that because, like I said, I'm half Sierra Leonean and my mom is African American. So I was raised with my mother. So when I finally realized what mental health was, and I got the mental health, because the environment that I was in and the income that I was getting at my house, I wasn't able to get the correct mental health or therapy that I can get. So I could only imagine a lot of Black women that are in this country that don't have health insurance or have the correct income to get that mental health, because number one, they already get neglected by their families. Number two, most of their rapists are people that are close to them. So there's like their uncle, the neighbor, or a teacher, or something like that. So when it comes to them expressing themselves, just Black people around the world, they feel like they can't express themselves. So yes, she is definitely right when it comes to mental health in America, when it comes to not just Black people, but Black women.
Right. And I think what I'm hearing, what you guys are all saying is that we don't really have support from each other like that. And fortunately for me, like I mentioned before, I am adopted by a white family. So, and I experienced, sexual abuse when I was back in Sierra Leone. And fortunately, my family was, able to, afford a therapist where I did a lot of counseling, and I'm at a point where I'm okay now and I don't have any PTSD. And it's unfortunate that, the Black community, African community, we don't have that because of, sometimes we just can't afford it, And I guess what we need to work on as, women, and this is why I wanted to join this group, because to talk about it, when you talk about it, you create a community and a better understanding of each other so you can be there to support people. So I guess we just need to start working on just having a community with each other and believe each other and not shame each other, and not look at people, oh, I can't believe you let that happen to you. It's like, it wasn't my fault. And to just have a better understanding and, talk to people who've been through stuff like that and be like, it's not your fault. I'm here for you. I will talk to you whenever, call me whenever you are feeling sad, angry, shameful. I am here for you. And to just not judge that person, just to be there to listen.
Also, too, I'd like to add on to what you said. As the African community, I don't know what it is, but we just grow up in fear. I don't know what to say, where to go, how to say it, but we're just all in fear. I don't know what we're afraid of. Really, really, really. I don't know. Because these are things that are happening every day, and these are things that have been happening for years. This conference is not going to stop what's happening. A million conferences are not going to stop what's happening, because this is just the mindset of the people. And so it's like, what we're doing here is just to sensitize people and be like, look, you can really speak about it. Be comfortable about speaking about these things. Because the worst thing that you can feel like is your entire world is crashing and nobody's looking or nobody's seeing. And so as Africans, I feel like we're always in this fear, in this mode of, hey, no, tell nobody, oh, cover you blind. Nana they call her, cover you blind, cover you shame, cover what you did go through. But you don't know how speaking about it, see how you're talking about how you healed, Emily, and you speaking about it will give others the power to be like, hey, me too. That's literally what Americans did, and then did the whole Me Too movement. Because it's like they just had the chance. Somebody finally said something, which led to somebody else saying something. I mean, America, the first thing that I'm not saying America is all peachy creams and perfect, but the first thing that they hold pride in is freedom of speech, period. Period. Africa, if you want to make comments, any part of Africa where you go, if you want to make comments, you want to say something, you have to say, you are made no can kill me, or set you more stuff.
You got to look around first before you open your mouth or anything.
Such much food. Oh, please, now president you talk to about, now this, that. It's so much fear. Right. And I don't know why in the African community that has been cultivated. But as we get older and this newer generation, it's like, that's really not necessary. Because what do you need to talk? Maybe what's going to save somebody else's life tomorrow.
Right. And I think part of it, part of the reason why we fear that is being prosecuted from everybody around us.
Yep. Yeah.
And that, once that goes away, oh my gosh, and that would just change a lot. And honestly, it's great that women like us and men are here to talk about it, because we are the ones who can start the change. Spread the word and just start. Once you gather a whole bunch of people, nobody can stop you, to be honest. You spread the word, you can't be stopped.
You're right. Because they're out there, they want to come out, they want to talk, but they not get the right people there. They not get the stuff, the thing for make them come out, for me to talk. Most of them want to come out to talk. They want to say something, but there's no support. There's no support. There's no person to listen to their cries. Most of them want to talk what's going on, but there's no Leonean committee, as Joy said, they don't care. Let me just put it straight. They don't care. They're hypocrite. They don't care at all. They act like they care, but they don't care. They just sweep everything under the rug.
I was going to ask a question about when it comes to religion, how does that play into, blaming the victim?
Oh gosh. Oh. No, honestly, like it's so sad because
I'm
It's
sorry.
sad. That's why
people
it's very
sometimes, I'm
disgusting.
Christian, so people sometimes take the Bible and the words and things and twist them. And
Yeah.
I went to a Christian school where they literally taught the girls on how to cover up so you don't tempt your brother, instead of talking to the men and say, don't touch your sister if she doesn't want to be touched.
Oh my
So
God.
it's you. This is you as a woman. You cannot tempt the men.
Wow.
That's the responsibility. That's it. The man, he can do whatever he wants. You just can't tempt him. So make sure you dress covered up head to toe. And it's
Emily,
just
you bring up a really good point. I was doing some research on this topic, and there's this school in Kenya that kind of does that. Like, I came to mind real quick. What they do is they teach young boys like early basic respect for women, which is it's a shame that it has to be taught, but like it does have, like, for these young men, it has helped see some kind of reduce in sexual assault cases in their area. But like they try to teach ways for them to intervene if they see sexual abuse. But I think those kind of things are good first steps towards changing the idea or the mindset of the people in that kind of way.
Can I just say something?
Mhm.
Like I just want to comment on what Emily was saying. When it comes to like religion, I I attended a Catholic school in Sierra Leone, and the rabbit hole goes so deep. This is not a one-time conversation, but when you if you have ever attended a Catholic school, there's so many stuff. People are being abused by the so-called fathers, and I'm sorry for any Catholic out there, but the so-called fathers were sleeping with my friend, paying their school fee. Like it is ridiculous.